Alright guys, welcome to the latest episode of Borak Bursa Turbo. It's been about 3 months since we had our last one, but we're glad to be back because a lot has happened. I think we need to get straight into it because we have a lot of ground to cover today. So let's talk about the obvious one first. Who are we talking about? Can you guess?
The orange hair guy.
Orange hair guy. So as all of you might have known, there's been a war in Iran. Well, I mean, they don't call it a war, but everyone else, I think, in the world calls it a war.
Military operation.
Military operation,
right.
Yes. And so what's happened since then, Alvin?
I think we're now week 5 into the conflict / military operation / Iran war.
Oil prices are nuts.
Of course, oil prices have gone from 65 to as high as 120.
Then what happened just, what was the announcement just now?
So as we are recording today,
Yep.
Trump says he's going to make a nationwide broadcast about something, most likely about the war. And oil prices have started to come off its highs.
But didn't he just do this like a few days back?
Yeah, I think a pattern seems to be emerging. So I think yesterday he's signaling that US will discontinue the military operation and their objectives have been achieved.
Which no one knows what their objectives
No,
are.
but I don't think he knows either. So.
So actually, this is a curious one because obviously, when this happened, the US stock market tanked again, and then it will rebound again, and then it tanks again, and it rebounds again based on Truth Social or Twitter or whatever the hell he's using nowadays.
Yep.
Is there fatigue to this kind of thing going on now?
I think for the investor sentiment, definitely fatigue. But I think the fatigue, because it hits different markets, right? So I think in April last year, when it talked about tariff that hit the stock market directly, this time round, it was about oil commodity prices.
Yeah.
So, of course, the S&P has come off its high to about minus 10% since the beginning of this year. Yeah.
So it goes up, it goes down, but how does that fatigue manifest in the stock market and the numbers? Do we see less volatility with each announcement compared to what he did with the tariffs on Liberation Day and that kind of thing? Or
I think, in terms of volatility, say on the index of the S&P 500, it's definitely much lower than it was and much slower than the tariff impact because the tariff impact was a surprise, right?
Yep.
So
can you give me the numbers like
tariff was peak to bottom for the S&P 500 was about 21%.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Right now for peak to bottom it's about 10-ish, 11.
Right.
But much longer period.
Yep.
So it's for over a 5-week period,
Yep.
right? Or a 6-week period. Whereas the tariff one happened in 3 days.
So there was one peak to bottom that was a lot higher than that, which is this graph that was shared pretty much around the world. I think a lot of people sent this to me.
Yeah.
Which was Trump announcing a few days ago that, he was talking to Iran and, the war is going to be settled and all that. And I think 15 minutes before that announcement, there was a huge spike in trading, both for oil futures and also for oil itself, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Brent crude and WTI, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people were saying, so does this mean that someone received insider information to trade that? How often do you see spikes like this happen out of nowhere?
I think second term for Trump, we're probably seeing a little bit more, for sure. I think not just in, say, WTI or Brent. I think one of the widely reported ones were poly market, where prediction markets where someone took a huge position hours before US hit Iran.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think and really since there's almost a blackout of information in the Middle East of what's coming. It's quite hard to gauge what is truth and what is not truth. But very clearly, these patterns are unusual.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in a way, somebody obviously made a huge amount of money. Whether or not it's actually based on insider information, somebody made a huge amount of money out of this. It was curious because a friend of mine that I was having a conversation with the other day, he said that the whole world, we're paying more for fuel, we're paying more for our expenses, we're paying more for food, and it's going into someone's pocket for being able to get this kind of insider information. Does that really play out the way that he's saying that plays out? That the world is paying for these huge spikes of money going into rich people's pockets that have insider information?
Well, I mean, when you have inside information, it's really an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
And I think in the US, they've been trying to tackle it for a while. So Congress members typically sit on committees.
Yeah.
And whether, it's different types of committees, right? So they have first-hand knowledge of which companies may get the contract. And I think this is quite widely published.
Okay.
That one of the best investors in the world has been Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, she even beat the best investor. Her returns were the best. All professional fund managers.
Is this legal for Nancy Pelosi to actually invest?
Yes, it is legal. 100% legal.
Wow.
Yeah. So insider trading, it's almost part of Congress culture, because they're allowed to. They're supposed to publish what positions they have taken.
Yeah.
So I think if you go online, you can find Nancy Pelosi trackers. What she buy, you just buy lah. But you don't even know why, right? And so for fund managers, typically you measure your success by wins versus losses. For Speaker of the House, her wins and losses is like 99.999%. Almost guaranteed kind of wins, right? So it's ironic because insider trading carries huge penalties.
Yep.
For
society.
For ordinary people.
Yep.
So it's a bit of a George Orwell moment where everyone's equal, but just some people are more equal than others.
Is this kind of thing also prevalent in Malaysia? Where a lot of people say they get stock tips that this one's going to go up tomorrow and all that kind of thing. And
I think we can't say with definitive proof, right? But you will only have to look at the public charge sheets that come out for insider information.
Yeah.
I think it's not easy to enforce. It's quite difficult to enforce.
How so?
Because you have to prove this person knowingly had information. And acted on it and benefited from it.
Have there ever been cases in Malaysia of that?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, they have been?
Yeah, of course, yes.
Frequently?
I can't remember if it's frequent, but yes, there have been cases.
Okay.
Basically, the enforcers have to prove beyond reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and typically it's a bit hard, but it seems US works on a slightly different system than us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next thing we want to move on to is crypto. Actually, earlier we had Andrew talk a little bit about this.
Yep.
But I wanted to get your take on it as well. So obviously, this war has been bad for almost all kind of asset classes. Strangely enough,
except for commodities, oil.
Commodities all go up, of course.
Yeah.
But like crypto is pretty stable during this time.
I think
which is weird because crypto's been stable, since October last year, as I think Andrew said.
Yeah.
So then, how is it still stable now, even with all the escalation and all that? And strangely, I heard also that gold has been dropping.
Yes.
But typically, gold is a refuge during uncertain times, right?
Weird, right?
What's going on with all the...
it's I've heard a few theories float around. But actually, what you realize was that when this conflict started, the dollar index actually strengthened. So which means that so what it means is that more people are buying dollars than selling dollars, right?
Yeah.
So if you can see from our ringgit, it was like 3.8 high eights. Now we're back at $4 against the US dollars. What we see is a flight to safety lah. Basically, people still prefer to hold dollars in uncertain times like this, and there was extra demand. Of course, if this conflict gets much longer than it should, what central banks typically will have to do now is raise interest rates. One of the reasons is because, at $100 oil prices, inflation is definitely going to set in, right? In fact, the the Australian Reserve Bank in Australia, they already raised interest rates by 25 basis points.
Right, and
Since
just
the war
for
started lah.
people out there that don't know why we're talking about raising interest rates, it's basically to cool down the consumer market.
Yeah, well, to temper inflation, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I think Malaysia, we haven't fully felt it yet.
yeah.
But if this continues much longer, we will definitely feel it, right? Yeah.
Interesting point to go over, because talking about Malaysia, I remember when the news of the Iran war was first announced, the first thing that came out was that our Ministry of Finance too mentioned that we're a net exporter of oil and gas, and then it was a very strange thing because, as far as most of us know, we have been a net importer for the last 10 to 15 years. So later on, we found out there's actually a little bit of a gulf in definitions, right?
Yes.
So can you explain to the average person what he means by net exporter and how we're actually still a net importer of crude,
Yeah.
right?
So Malaysia, typically the crude that we export is of high quality.
Tapis.
Tapis. So generally, what it means is that it requires less energy and it's lower in sulfur content, so it's cleaner. So it's priced higher than
Yeah.
different. So there are different types of crude oil. Think of it. You go to your supermarket. If you're looking for cooking oil, there are different types, all different prices, right? So for us, the fuel that we use in our cars that we pump, typically a large part of it actually comes from the Middle East.
Yeah.
Because our refineries are set up to process that kind of crude. That's for us to use.
Yeah.
Right? So yes, we are a net energy exporter. Yeah, so I think for Malaysia, in terms of oil, you have to understand, just like cooking oil, when you go to the supermarket, there are different types of cooking oil, right?
Yeah.
So for Malaysia, largely we export sweet crude, which is tapis, and it's lower sulfur content, therefore easier or cheaper to blend and process and refine, right? But for the fuel that we use in our fuel tanks, typically comes from the Middle East. So yes, even though we're net energy exporter, right? That means net to us, because we import at high prices, we also sell at high prices.
So net exporter by value.
By value, right?
Monetary value.
Yeah.
Okay.
But our refineries are all set up for crude from the Middle East.
So net importers of volume.
Volume, right? So our RON 95
number
comes
of
from
barrels.
number of so the crude that we use in our fuel, basically our RON 95 actually comes from the Middle East.
Yeah.
Doesn't come from our own oil wells, basically.
Yeah. But in this situation now, or at least until recently, where we had no oil for a while coming in from the Middle East, and if that situation were to stretch out for a long period of time, would Malaysia then start processing our own tapis, or will we find a different place to import?
We have to find a different place to import, because you can't just rewire the refineries to just use our own oil.
Right.
Yes. You can't. It's a huge complex. You can't just. Let's. Example, you can't put diesel in your car, which is running in petrol, right?
Yep.
That will require extensive modifications to your car
Yep.
to get it to run on diesel, right? So think of it that same way lah.
So the world's refineries are usually catered for a specific oil from a specific place.
Yeah. So example, US being the largest exporter of crude today,
Yeah.
most of their crude cannot be processed in the US. It cannot be refined, right? It's all exported, right? So it depends on what refineries you built, right? I think one of our oldest refineries is up in Port Dickson, used to be owned by Shell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was built in the 60s actually.
Mm.
Yeah. So think of it that way. So are we affected, because when you look at it on a very macro basis, it's like, oh, great for us because, we're a net oil exporter, so high prices. But don't forget, we also import at higher prices as well. But I think the biggest thing, if you look at macro, net looks like positive. But the problem is that businesses and average people on the street will be affected because, suddenly your crude oil prices have shot up so much, right? Inflation will spike, right? So think of even plastics, right? that's based from resin, that would be affected, right? I think the other material that is quite affected at the moment, commodity, is actually aluminium,
Yep.
right? Which because of the war that's going on there, the smelters have actually shut down, right?
Yep.
And it takes 6 months to restart again. So I think you factor all these factors in, I think it's just gonna push up inflation tremendously, right? So it's almost a knock-on effect.
So you would see maybe Petronas, for instance, posting up record profits this year.
Yeah, any oil producing upstream producer would definitely have fantastic profits.
Right.
But of course, we got to see how the rest of the year
Plays out lah.
plays out. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
you
Long way to go, long way to go.
if you're 80 to 100, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that happened recently also, and this was big news for some reason, is that Iran has opened the Straits of Hormuz, as everyone's been talking about recently, to 4 Malaysian ships were allowed to pass.
7, I think.
Oh, was it 7?
7,
Yeah.
yes.
And this is big news, right? So like, oh wow, Malaysia, they can pass. But we had a conversation off camera where you said this actually is not as big a deal as most people are making it out to be.
I mean, it's a big deal in the sense that we can secure supply
Okay.
for our refineries, and we can continue running as is. But what so maybe prevents a crisis from happening where we have long lines. I think Malaysia so far, we've not ever in our history ever suffered, waiting to line up at a petrol kiosk to fill our tanks. But some of this is very real, right? In the 70s in the US, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Actually, down south in Australia, it's already happening. They're rationing how much you can get into your tank.
Yeah.
Right? So I think we've kind of been blessed that we've not ever had to be in that situation.
Yeah, Philippines just declared a state of emergency, right?
Well, and also I think Thailand has now forced government servants work from home, I think 3 days a week or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've not faced that so far, so we are lucky.
Yeah.
We're very blessed to have that. So that solves that problem.
But in terms of economics, does a movement like this free up a little bit of supply so that we will see an easing of oil prices in the long
In my view, it won't. It will not change the economics of things.
right?
Probably change the economics, not getting worse,
Yeah.
but doesn't necessarily improve.
Not the prices or anything. It won't. It's a trickle. It's
Right,
basically a
if I'm
trickle.
buying resin, it's still going to be double the price
Right.
before the war started, right?
Right.
Fertilizer. Can I get fertilizer to
Grow my plants
to
or
grow
crops
my
or
plants
whatever.
and crops or whatever, right? Yeah.
Yes, but it will still be more expensive.
Yes, exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the fuel that we're getting into our tanks right now,
Yeah.
we've dropped Budi from 300 liters to 200 liters,
Yeah.
right? And I think
Which you
195.
predicted in December last year.
Yay. The question is, it's going to stay at 200 now. That's a new norm, regardless of fuel prices. We don't know. Maybe, right? That's quite possibly that might happen.
Yeah.
So if you were using 300 liters before, now you're going to pay for 100 liters at unsubsidized rate, which is, I think,
I think it's quite a soft measure compared to what's going on in other countries.
correct. It's $4,
Very soft.
yeah. So everyone's definitely affected, right? Because that doesn't change the price. Even though we get secure supply, it doesn't change that price.
But if you drive a diesel truck,
Well,
good luck.
yeah, well, maybe,
So diesel has gone from two something to 5 something. It's almost doubled, right?
Yeah, I think it's double, yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to have a knock-on effect.
Well, especially, right, definitely for those in the industries that
Yeah.
are not on the subsidy list or fleet card list,
Yeah.
you will be affected.
And one of those industries that's not talked about enough that we've seen is tourism. So tourism is starting to, the tourism industry in Malaysia is starting to make a lot of noise about how they've suffered a double whammy of sorts. So the double whammy is basically, number one, of course, diesel prices are up and these guys have to operate tour buses, ferries, motorboats, and so on and so forth. And the second part is that a lot of their customers were flying through the Emirates and the Qatar Airways.
Dubai,
and
right?
all
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
How much are we talking about here? Like, what's the volume of...
I think on the article it says around the region about 3,000
yeah, so 3,000 cancellations in the first week of
in the
the
first
war.
week. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. And for some reason, tourism is not one of the subsidized trades for diesel.
I don't believe so. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Is the government addressing that as far as you know?
Um, I don't think they are. I don't think they are.
Yeah.
But definitely will impact. When high fuel prices. I mean, this is not so much high fuel prices. The cancellations. It's really safety, right?
Yeah, safety. Yeah,
They
you can't go through.
The
yeah.
airports are shut and they can't even fly through, right?
Yeah.
So we'll definitely have that knock-on effect for sure, right? Especially when Dubai has become a central point for layovers transiting to this side of the world as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is weird because this weekend we have Mata Fair, and you guys found something that was pretty wild, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think you guys posted this on your social media. It'll be going up like today. Basically, the airfares for Mata Fair, despite the war in Iran and all the subsidies and whatever not, they're cheaper than last year. All the airfares to everywhere are cheaper than last year, and I think you guys checked from the same suppliers, the same destinations, apples for apples, and it's all cheaper. A lot of it, like consistently across all measures. How's that possible?
Well, if you
What's
catch up on the
happening
news
here?
a little bit, so right now it's really difficult for airlines. For airlines who have not hedged their oil consumption, it's tricky, right? Because it's all about timing, right? So
maybe explain hedging of oil.
So hedging means, so typically let's go through a process. I would buy a flight normal, let's say I buy a flight Mata Fair this weekend, maybe fly in September or December, example. Yeah. So I'm probably 9 months ahead. But what happens is that the airline collects my money first.
Yeah.
They sit on it, they earn treasury income or whatever it is until they have to deliver my flight, right? And what happens is that right now oil price may be $100, but in December I don't know what it is. Could be 60, could be 150. I don't know, right? So what happens is quite common airlines because they get cash up front. Of course, they continue to roll it. Some airlines have hedging policies, meaning that if I know you're going to fly in December, I've sold X amount of tickets, I already know my fuel consumption in December. And then now it's March, right? So therefore, based on current prices, if you look at futures, so futures are future contracts. Where I can buy the future contracts. So if you go to CME today, future contracts for crude oil is like $70-$80. 70, I think below $80, 70 over dollars. So I already know my cost. So I can actually lock in that price. But of course, if the price goes up, great for me because then I would have locked in my profit anyway.
But if it went down, then you look a bit silly because... Correct.
If I went down, then I could have potentially bought it cheaper, right? So hedging is a two-edged sword. Like it can cut you both ways. And if you want to be really, really prudent, then you just hedge 100% oil because you already know your future flights, right?
How often do airlines do that?
Airlines do that quite commonly.
Yeah.
Quite commonly. I think most of them will hedge 20, 30% or 40, 50% of fuel, right? Now, of course, they won't be buying crude oil futures. They'll be buying jet fuel.
Yeah.
Right, because they can't pump crude oil into your plane anyway. So this is quite common, and I think the cash up front model typically it's just to get things, keep it rolling, right? Because the beauty about the airline business is that if they can sell those tickets, they get cash up front first.
Yeah.
And they have great treasury management because typically they pay the supplier 6 months later, depending on the size. That's their advantage lah.
And you never think about it, but when you travel, the first thing you buy is the flights.
Yeah, right.
That's why they always get cash up front.
They always get cash up front. And it's a cash up front business, right?
Yeah,
it's a cash up front business. I think the other thing is also...
but then why are the fares dropping then?
Because...
I mean, if you buy oil futures, then fine. You lock in the price. You can offer the flights at the same price. I understand that. How are they dropping?
I think possibly, because they know travel sentiment can be weak right now.
Right.
Right. So maybe they try to throw some tickets to encourage. So of course, they don't have to sell out everything from December, right? So they could sell maybe 30, 40, 50%. And then hopefully things improve, and then they can sell the rest of the last minute tickets at a higher price, right?
So now they're hedging a different kind of hedge, which is they're hedging that asking consumers to buy now before sentiment gets worse.
Could be before sentiment gets worse, or they just want to hoard the cash, because typically you notice when this kind of like COVID-19 was the best example, right?
Yeah. What happened during COVID?
Typically, airlines, you have to buy tickets ahead of time before you fly anyway, right? And it's a cash upfront for them. So what happened during COVID was the worst time for airlines, because literally they were on lockdown. 100 flights a week would become one every 2 weeks, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was pretty bad then. So cash flow obviously was tight or non-existent. So what happens is that you realize that when these kind of things happen, airlines typically don't give you the cash back. They'll give you credits instead.
Yeah.
Because chances are they may have already spent the cash.
Oh.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Right. Possibly. Right. I mean, it's not an easy business, but it's all about cash, right? Or how much you can take up front, how long you can pay later.
Have you looked at any of these P&Ls of like how much airlines make out of treasury functions?
No, actually, that's a good question. I've not looked at it.
Might be interesting, huh?
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
But they definitely do. It's impossible that they don't.
Because they have so much cash lying around, right?
Well, they get cash every day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be really interesting. Okay, so I wanted to shift cogs a bit. So this is just a chart of how the Malaysian ringgit has compared to our neighbours' currencies in the last 1 year. And as you can see, we've improved to every single currency out there, including the USD.
Yeah.
Actually, including Singapore. I didn't think that we improved versus Singapore, but we actually improved versus Singapore as well.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that factor into this. Even up until now, right? I think our region is reeling from this Iranian war.
Yeah.
And we are somewhat
better positioned.
Yeah, to it. Are there any particular currencies that stand out to you right now to say like these are in danger or these are more stable?
I mean, all three of them are net importers, right, of oil currently.
Yeah.
But I don't think they are was because of that, right? But I think the Malaysian ringgit has been undervalued for a long time.
Yeah, you talked about this.
I've talked about this
also
for a long time.
predicted 4, right? You predicted 4, was it?
Yeah, for 384, that was my view. It's been really overlooked, undervalued, because Malaysia has been shunned for a while, because we are middle income. They call it middle income trap, and growth is question mark, right? But I think Malaysia has proven to be very resilient economically, right? And I think we're seeing this fallout that's happening in Dubai. Dubai is a big capital importer.
Yeah.
So when sentiments change or perceptions change of being a safe country and all that, you'll definitely get a capital flight for sure.
Yeah. So we talked about how we are underperforming. We've been underperforming for 10 years, and now we are overperforming. So we're catching up to some point where we'll be the correct value, right? And I know that you've made predictions before this. I think you posted on your social media that you made a prediction about the Malaysian ringgit to US dollar being 4, and it came true. But I understand now you're a bit hesitant to make future predictions already.
Yeah, because I think it's easier to call when it's cheap.
Yeah.
And probably easy to call when it's expensive.
Yeah.
But when you're kind of in between.
So now we're around there, ballpark. We're not as undervalued as we used to be, but we're still, in your opinion, somewhat undervalued?
I think it's a tough call, this one. I think it's a tough call. It depends, very much depends. Because, why did we underperform in the last 10 years?
The change of leadership.
We had one global 1 MDB issue.
Yeah.
We had 5-6 prime ministers in the span of 6-7 years.
Yeah.
So the perception, right, was that it was unstable.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at the facts, GDP growth in the last 10 years, Malaysia has proven to be very resilient in face of adversity. Even today, as oil prices at $100, we're not in a state of energy emergency.
This is a very interesting point. So right now, when oil prices are high, everyone's panicking. Philippines just declared a state of emergency and all that. We still have our Budi 95 subsidies, right? Things can't be that bad.
Well,
Will this signal to investors that we are a safe haven in the future in geopolitical instability?
possibly, but I think our neighbor wins hands down lah, by far lah.
Oh.
Yeah, Singapore.
But they got no
right?
oil also.
They don't need. I think it's because they have no oil and they are fully service based.
Yeah.
That reputation and stability is very much part of their USP, right?
Right.
I mean, they've beaten us in terms of having the longest same party in power, right?
Yeah.
So and ours broke in 2000 and 2018, right?
Yeah.
So kind of only 8 years in.
Yeah.
But I think that was the biggest fear, of course, right? 2018, because we've never had a change of party government
Yeah.
since independence.
And surprisingly, for good or bad, things didn't change as much as we thought they might change.
I mean, we're still performing.
Yeah.
Right. So, I think maybe that, and of course, in the last couple of years, we've been attracting capital as well. For data centers and anything semiconductor related.
So on that point, with the elections coming up either this year or next year, would investors be again very cautious leading up to those elections?
I think election time is always in any country lah.
Yeah.
Investors tend to be always cautious because we're not sure what new policies the next government might bring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just uncertainty.
Yeah.
And markets don't like uncertainty.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this was really interesting. And apparently this didn't cross your radar actually.
Yeah.
That as you guys know, Liberation Day last year, there were insane tariffs on every country, and every country had to go up to the White House and present a little fruit basket to Trump and then say like, hey, can we make a deal, right?
Yeah.
And of course, Malaysia made a deal. We gave them some trading promises and stuff like that. But after that, the U.S. Supreme Court actually ruled the tariffs illegal, right? Because it didn't pass through Congress. And then Malaysia did something really quite, well, at least in the eyes of the world, progressive. Because what we did was we actually cancelled the deal. And we were one of the first to cancel the deal before the rest of the world. What do you make of this?
I think, really, I think if you look back at some of Trump's actions,
Yeah.
for him, because a lot of it is also executive orders, right? Purely executive orders. And basically, I don't think he really cared whether they were
Legal or not.
and let the courts decide kind of thing. But the impact it had on that market in that period of time
Instantaneous.
was very destabilizing.
20%, like you said, top to bottom.
Yeah, and that's just the index, right?
Yeah.
Individual stocks were more,
Yeah.
right? So, and I think he kind of already gotten what he wanted, right? So that's already passed for him.
What did he want?
Volatility.
Volatility, right.
I mean, if you look at the tweets, because the market reacts to his tweets or through
Yeah.
social, and he knows that. So I think at this point, he's really utilizing that position to the maximum. Of course, the story, if the boy who cried wolf too many times, people will stop listening. But so far, markets still react to his tweets.
More interestingly than that, I mean, because we've talked about Trump many times before, Malaysia being the first, it never strikes us that we want to stand out in situations like this, right? Because, we're obviously not one of the biggest trading partners of the US and all that kind of thing. What do you think it says about our foreign policy that we were one of the first to actually cancel this US tariff?
I think if you rewind back, everyone was the first to try and make a deal with the US. I think in this part of the world, Southeast Asia, I think Vietnam was the first,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of course, China was like nope.
Yep.
And because I think it's law anyway, and it was not illegal to comply anyway. It was not legal to comply anyway.
Yep.
So we had to do what follow the law lah, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. All right, guys. I think we're running out of camera space as well. We record 2 podcasts today, so you guys can check out Behind the Biz as well, where Alvin was actually talking to the founder of Book Access, Andrew. That'll be coming out on our channel as well at alvinvong.et. So until the next time for Borak Bursa Turbo, this is Alvin and Chak signing off.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.